The call. At 1 in the morning, I returned to my house, took off my clothes, and collapsed exhausted onto my bed. What a long day. A headache was tearing through me, dizziness was swirling in my head, and a complete disconnection from this existence was overwhelming me. But 1 in the morning? I had said goodbye to Dr. Azim 2 hours ago, so did it take me 2 whole hours to reach my home? I don't remember anything, and I don't care to remember. All I want now is to sleep. And I don't know when sleep overtook me. In the early hours of the following morning, I woke up with my mouth dry as a fish's, and a single image persistently haunting my mind. 2 snakes, each devouring the other's tail. Where did I see that? When? And what does it mean? But I didn't ponder long, as I drifted off again. I sat at the table devouring the eggs and pastries my sister Raifa had prepared for me. I was so absent-minded that it worried her, so she began talking to me about various topics that seemed distant and trivial to me. I shut off my ears and began humming in tones that suggested I was following along, as if I agreed with what she was saying. Then I noticed her looking at me with annoyance and surprise. Then she said, "I'm talking to you." I had answered her question with a hum that implied I was listening, and thus my absent-mindedness was embarrassingly exposed. It must have irritated her. I said awkwardly, "Sorry." "What were you saying?" "You're not listening to me at all. I'm asking, what are you going to do about Rida? Is there something new?" "Yes, his wife sent word to us this morning saying that he..." "Ran away?" "No, not yet. The Naddaha called him last night, so he tore off his restraints and almost escaped until she had to get the neighbours to stop him. She didn't want them to find out. She didn't want them to know. That's strange. And she hasn't told anyone about it until now? Of course, you know your brother's wife. She doesn't like gossip. She hides the secret and tells the neighbours and his friends that he's sick. So, I'm the first one who examined him." "Of course. And I was saying that. Something in this conversation is extremely important. It points to something. But my mind is so foggy. I can't extract anything clear from this discussion, but it suggests a very significant idea, and I forgot what it was." My sister's lips were still moving with many words. "Won't you ever stop talking? I don't understand a single word you're saying, let alone hear it in the first place. Now it's essential that I visit Rida to check on him. And that woman, reserved, strong-willed, his wife. I finished my breakfast, drank my tea, and then left the house heading toward Rida's home. I deliberately passed through the cornfield that witnessed yesterday's events. At the spot where the Naddaha stood, I stopped and began inspecting the soil. There were footprints from my rubber shoes that I wore at night, and a few meters away there appeared other strange prints. Fine, deep holes in the dirt, not something a shoe would leave, but rather, if we're being precise, more like the marks left by a cat's paws when it creeps cautiously toward a bird. I headed toward Rida's house and knocked on the door, and Najat opened it for me. "You have no idea what happened last night. You were sleeping like a baby." That's how she screamed the moment she saw me, so I stopped her firmly, raising my hand. "I know, and I wasn't sleeping like a baby." "May God forgive you." "Then where were you?" "I was standing in the cold and open air watching the call of your Naddaha. I saw her, and I heard her calling him. And what did you do?" "Nothing. I went to get help, and when I came back, she was gone." What a failure. This woman is going to destroy my nerves. Why do I put up with her rudeness and silliness without smashing her head? Unfortunately, I have to. Because it's the price I pay, and will keep paying whenever I want to cross into my brother's world. She is the lady of the house, and there's no way around it. I studied her face, her soft black hair, her staring eyes. These features remind me of something. And then her lips, unusually cracked, and she revealed a long white neck. I don't want to be unfair, but this woman bears a considerable resemblance to the Naddaha. And don't forget, and this is most important, that strange blue mole on her left cheek. She looks like the Naddaha, but she's not her. She can't be her. What are you so lost in thought about? I swallowed hard. It might be a coincidence or a suggestion planted in me by last night's events, or maybe a reflection of my dislike for her. But I can't for a moment imagine any justification or motive that would make her leave her husband and go out at night to call him from outside the house. It would be absurd if this kept happening every time. That every woman I meet turns out to be the same person in a different evil guise. Ekaterina disguised as Mazub in Romania, and Najat disguised as the Naddaha in Egypt. No. I won't let such a fleeting observation affect my thinking. I'll simply store this point in my memory and never forget it. Najat resembles the Naddaha to some extent, and maybe someday this information will come in handy. I bid her farewell and left, heading home. But I passed by the health unit to check on something in the birth registry office, then returned home without seeing Azim. The patients started coming to our house, so I resumed my work in the same side room. But my mental distraction greatly affected the accuracy of my diagnoses, and more than once I hesitated with the pen in my hand, trying to remember the name of a certain medication. And I forgot many of the faces I had seen the day before. In short, my performance was pitiful beyond description. By afternoon, I went up to my room, ate a few bites my mother had prepared for lunch, then lay down on my bed to rest, preparing for the exhausting evening awaiting me tonight. And sleep overtook me quickly. I slept a quiet, dreamless sleep. I woke to pitch darkness. What time is it now? I looked at my phosphorescent watch, and its hands pointed to 10 o'clock in the evening. Fatigue had betrayed me, and I was 2 hours late for my appointment at the unit with Dr. Azim. I had to get dressed and rush to him before he lost his temper. I put on the Naddaha gear I had described to you, the pistol, the Quran, the cigarettes, and the light shoes. Then I headed toward the door to leave, and at that moment I heard a strange sound, a sound coming from the direction of the water wheel next to our house, a long drawn-out wailing sound, a sound I knew well, saying, "Rifat! Rifat!" She was calling me specifically. My moment had come. Now I wouldn't have to search for her, no more dull waiting in the night. All I had to do was step outside, and she would be there, waiting for me. "Rifat!" Then the door swung open, and I saw my mother, my sister, and Talat, Raifa's husband, entering the room. In my mother's hand was a lit candle, and a look of terror shimmered in her weary eyes. "In the name of God, the most merciful, the most compassionate, she's calling you, my son?" Then she saw me preparing to leave, and she screamed. "No, you're not going." I said harshly, against my will, "Listen, mother, this is nobody's business. It's my problem, and I'll handle it myself." She beat her chest in anguish and screamed, "Help me, people. Am I to lose the boy and his brother?" While the voice echoed with insistence and coldness, "Rifat! Rifat!" I headed toward the door. There's something irresistible about that call and that face. I must see it again. How enchanting it is. How strange, how compelling. They won't be able to stop me under the pretense of family love. Talat grabbed my arm with his strong hand like a sickle and said gruffly, "Rifat, I don't want to hurt you," I said angrily as I tried to pull my arm away, my glasses falling to the floor. "This is none of your concern, Talat. Let me go." But his grip only tightened, and then the voice rang out again. "Rifat! No, I won't miss this chance." I struggled furiously, giving Talat his golden opportunity to show his strength. All I remember is a fierce fight in which I was clearly the weaker side. My mother was wailing, my sister slapping her face, and her little boy clutching her dress and sobbing. Talat was punching me, then throwing me onto the old wooden bed. My sister handed him a palm fibre rope, which he tied around my ankles while panting, then wrapped around my wrists. I resisted, I screamed. My skin was scraped. But the restraint was tight. Then I gave up, exhausted. While the voice continued to call, "Rifat!" Raifa cursed and shouted, "Won't you shut up, you daughter of..." Then she began to cry, speaking words that took on a strangely endearing tone. First it was Reza, now it's my brother Rifat, the best of men. "I wish you'd never come from Cairo. I wish you'd never come. I wish you'd left us in our misery." Why is this woman crying? I don't see a disaster in what's happening now. The only issue is this restraint irritating me, and I must get rid of it as soon as possible. Out there stands my delicate beloved in her black dress, waiting for me, calling me. So why shouldn't I answer her call? I didn't feel anything that happened in the following days. Continuous chaotic hallucinations, in which Dr. Richard merged with Esteban, the melter with Dracula's mummy, the scene of Ekaterina's death, Dr. Azim, the face of the Naddaha, the face of Judas, and the two snakes devouring each other's tails. Later, Rifa told me everything. She said I was oblivious to the world, staring with open eyes that saw nothing, and I wasn't eating, so they force-fed me, like a duck. My mother burned tons of incense near my bed and recited Surah Yasin hundreds of times. As for Rifa, she brought in a sorcerer, a fraud as usual, to try to break the curse that afflicted me. And as always, he burned incense, recited dozens of incantations, demanded hundreds of items, then left claiming that there was a vengeful jinn because I didn't give him the offerings he wanted. Talat was more practical. He went to the village and brought Dr. Azim, the clinic doctor, to see me. The latter expressed great regret and said what happened was due to my delay in meeting him, and he told them the story of my encounter with the Naddaha. Then he gave me a sedative injection, offered them his services any time, and advised that they loosen my restraints from time to time and allow me to move in bed so I wouldn't develop bed sores. Then he took £1 as a consultation fee, even though that's against union regulations. What a crook. And every night, as my sister recounted, it began. The Naddaha would call me from near the water wheel, and I would start to squirm, turn over and try to get up, but the restraints were stronger than me. One time, Talat insisted on going out to see that she-devil, but my mother and sister begged him to stay, for they weren't ready to lose the last man in the family. My sister even had to kiss his hand to restrain his deadly curiosity, and so he yielded to their wish. How long did I remain like this? 2 weeks. And how did it end? That's a little story I'll tell you, but don't rush. A letter arrived in my name, received by Talat, my sister's husband, and he saw no benefit in giving it to me since I was completely detached from the world, so he forgot it in the pocket of his robe. One night, he had the idea to read it beside my bed, hoping it might contain something that would catch my attention or present a matter he could act on. Under the light of the kerosene lamp, he began to read. The letter was from my student, Dr. Allah Abdel Samad, talking about the blood sample he took to analyze in his lab in Cairo. Dear Dr. Rifat, I couldn't come in person, and I wasn't able to call since the village has no phone. So I'm sending this letter, which I estimate will take no more than 3 days, so the delay shouldn't cause any issues. I've conducted the tests you requested, and as you suspected, I found no evidence of diabetes, kidney failure, liver failure, or a change in blood acidity. Electrolyte levels are acceptable. All bacterial cultures came back negative. In short, nothing at all. Then I ran a chromatographic analysis at the Faculty of Pharmacy searching for specific toxins. After a thorough and exhausting examination, we found in the sample a very small but noticeable amount of barbiturates. Talat was reading with his weak, broken-down speech, struggling badly with words like electrolytes, chromatographic, barbiturates. But that last word reached me fully, clearly, and settled into my consciousness, causing a sweeping jolt. Then I repeated it after him. That's what he said, and it was the first word I'd spoken in 2 weeks, which sent him into overwhelming joy. He began chanting Allahu Akbar, tears flooding his eyes. Rifat, you spoke, good man, you spoke. Here I am, alive. I don't know what happened to me, and I don't care to know. I just want that letter now. I must see what's in it. But I'm tied to the bed like a sacrificial lamb. Who did this? Talat, and why? I remember something about the Naddaha and about that night, but it's all so hazy. They must have tied me, those fools, so I wouldn't chase after others. I said in a hoarse voice, Talat, I'm okay. Please untie me. He looked at me in confusion and didn't answer. Talat, let me get up, and I'll tell you everything. The coma is over. His face was covered in shadows, unwilling to respond. He had the right not to believe, but how could I convince him? Talat, believe me. I'm not delirious. He stood up firmly, put the letter in his pocket, then said with clear finality, Seek refuge in God, doctor, and don't answer the devil's call. It's that cursed woman, trying to lure you to her, but you won't fool me. Then he took the kerosene lamp in his hand, walked to the door, and opened it. And before leaving, he repeated with disgust, as if spitting the words, You won't fool me.